with B-Bad and Brandon.
Who is it? But I think that's like any sport, bro. You can't have
It's not gonna be
you
perfect.
can't have a you can't have a sport where people are heavily passionate about their result, their performance, their lifter, their whatever, without having a few people that don't know how to manage that passion
Oh, then you throw,
and direct it in the right direction
and then
without being a fuckhead about
you
it.
throw in the other aspect of like ped use, and then that's a
Oh yeah,
recipe for
fuck.
disaster.
Yeah, 100%. And then I mean, whilst I think this sport is becoming more and more mainstream, there's still like a lot of old school, obscure, strange people that are attracted to our sport,
Hmm.
which makes it exciting and interesting. But part of that is you get strange, obscure, interesting personalities that
Hmm.
jump into it as well.
Which makes for exciting comps.
Oh, absolutely, dude. It's so the more personality, the better. You just got to be cool with what comes with that aspect of it, I
100%.
think.
There's a lot of acceptance, and that just needs to, and just understanding that not every comp's going to be perfect.
Yeah, and maybe understanding of the rule book.
Look, that's a big one. That's a really big
That's
one.
this is a good one. This is a really nice point that someone made to me a little while ago around the rule book,
Yep.
right? So like you've played rugby league before, right?
Yes.
And lots of it.
Lots of it.
You've been you've been around the highest levels of the sport in all
Hmm.
regards, right? So let's say Redcliffe Dolphins are about to play on Saturday afternoon, right?
Yep.
Does the referee come into the sheds and then spend all afternoon discussing with them the rule book and telling them every single rule that exists in NRL?
No.
Then why the fuck, when you come to powerlifting, do you think it's our responsibility to show you all the rules?
Mm.
Like there is no other sport floating around where, particularly at a high level, where the referee goes into your shed or your thing and then discusses with you the rule book in all of its points. The thing that is forgotten is that it's the athlete and the coach's responsibility to have an understanding of what the rule book is. And then if you don't, if you have a question around the rule book,
Hmm.
you then ask. So then when you put your lifter or yourself on the platform, you get it. I get it at a novice level when no one knows the rules. Perhaps there's some time for a rules brief and promote a bit more of an understanding to grow it. But it's still at the same time, if you're trying to play a sport, you should download the rule book
Hmm.
and understand it.
It's great. I think, obviously, as you mentioned, novice comps, the lifters briefing is less
Mm,
about the how the day is run and
mm,
more about these are the rules, this is what we
mm,
expect, which I really like.
mm.
And it's just obviously very basic. But even a
Yep.
lot of sanction meets, and I know I've seen, I think across nearly every Fed, I've seen it happen where
Mm,
the meet director will still run over those basics for people who may be new
mm.
to it and trying it out in a federation for the first time. That's a
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
privilege. That's a privilege.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I get there's still there still needs to be some discussion. I think just so everyone comes to the same page.
Yes.
There is some subtle differences between federations, so covering those points.
Mhm.
So anyone is playing between different ones, but still at the same time, like all federations rules book are on their websites and they're everywhere to be found. As an athlete who wants to play the game, or definitely as a coach, you need to have read it and understood it. And there's opportunities at all the feds to be able to become a referee, whether that means you want to actually referee or you just become a referee so you get it.
Mhm. Yep. I
Needs to be done.
100%. And I think that even if you don't want to become a referee, go to a referee
Mm,
workshop.
absolutely.
I think.
Particularly, yeah, if you really want to be like a coach and
Mhm.
like coach humans and make that a living and a living off that, you need to do that.
Yep. I think it's a that way you go into every meet knowing what to
Mm,
expect, your lifter to expect. Also, I think
yeah.
for lifters, like I think they get overwhelmed by the size of most rule books.
Mm,
Just read this
mm,
section about the lifter because there's a lot in there
yes.
about how the meet director should run, how
Mm,
the spotters and loaders have to handle themselves. So I just think it's like,
mm.
bro, find
Just
what.
read the lifting
Yep,
bit.
done. If you're going to be
Very
spotter
simple.
and loader at a comp, read the spotter and loader bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think just
Absolutely.
reading again, it just comes back to what we said before. It's just like the athlete and the coach need to take more responsibility for their own performance, which
Mm,
sounds too good to be true. Like, why would you take
mm,
responsibility for your own performance?
yeah. Well, it's yeah, your
Mm,
performance.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
the that's the that's the key word.
I really like it though, how you get to like a nationals meet and um Marcos is an absolute classic for it. You get to the fucking like pro raw or a GPC nationals or whatever it is, and he'll just be like, all right, you're all elite level athletes, so I'm going to expect you've read the rule book. And he's like, how many has read the rule book? And you see like three hands go up, and it's like, this could be a fun day.
Yeah, I saw Scotty Watson do one.
Mm.
It was sick. It was a States or something that I was doing, and I'll butcher how he did it, but he delivered it very simply, and it was just like, this is state level competition. You guys should all have a deep understanding of the rules. Um, that's where the toilets are. That's where you talc. Have a great day.
Yeah,
And then he walked off, and I was like, that is brilliant.
it, and he's
That's
so
exactly how you should do it.
exactly. He is so right.
Because he's right. It's a state level
Mm,
competition. Like, if by the time you get to state level competition, you should have done novice meets, should have done local meets, you should have read the rule book. Your coach, and if you haven't, your coach should have a deep understanding of it. So when they put you out there, you get it.
mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, it
Hmm.
definitely like it's your performance. It's your athlete. Take the
Mm,
ownership. Take responsibility. I just think that like
hmm.
I don't know. Maybe we're just privileged to be of, I guess, an older time. You know, before powerlifting was so mainstream. So we spent some time reading the rule book, asking questions in the
Mm,
right way, so that we have developed this understanding. Where I feel a lot of
yep.
people like they see things on like social media, and like, oh, well, that was a deep lift and got past, so mine will be that deep and get past. And it's
Mm,
like, bruh, no,
mm,
stop watching that.
no. Yeah, and look, from a flip side of the coin, as a coach, if you have a deep understanding of the rules
Mm,
book, and you can have polite conversations with a referee around judgment decisions,
mm,
quickly, let's must say quickly, and at the right times, but you can actually have those conversations with a referee, to find out answers around why reds are. And also, I will say sometimes they make mistakes. If they have made a mistake, you can politely show them where it is, where that mistake was. So if say a lifter got caught out with something, I'm not sure what, but if they
mm,
did, and you had that moment, quick moment to challenge them, in a polite way, because you have that understanding of it, you can have a good, robust discussion with a referee. But if you don't know the rules, you can't,
mm,
because you don't know what you're fucking talking about.
100%. And I think the I want to emphasize again what you said. Polite.
Very polite.
If you come at the
Very
referee
polite.
aggressive and be like, "What the fuck,"
Yep.
they're gonna get their
Yep.
guard up and just be like, especially if they're a
Yep.
newer referee, I think they're gonna take it a bit
Yep.
personally. But
Yep.
you just gotta like again, people will make mistakes, but there's no reason for
Hmm.
people to be aggressive with it.
Nah, nah, nah. And yeah, man, look, I'll tell you a funny story. This is a fun one. We're at um, Capo Nats, and they do something really cool. I like. They put I think they call it a technical officer
Mm,
at the chalk bowl,
mm-hmm,
and then they put the three referees on the platform. The technical officer's job is to check uniforms. If the knee wrap's hanging a bit low, they're nice. They'll fucking tighten a little fucking knot for you, and they're kind of watching the referees as well to make sure that they're making good
yeah,
decisions. And um, if they miss something, they can sort of bring it to their attention. And Henry Days brought out, I think he brought out Lucy, and I was gunning Belinda to beat her. And then she sets up on the bench, and Henry sort of jumps, he's standing over, and then he tucks her shoulders underneath and gives her a fucking pat on the ribs and says, "Let's fucking go, let's get it." And I said, "Mace, can't touch the lifter on the bench press." He's like, "Oh, yeah, you can." I said, "Not if it helps him." I said, "He's pushing her shoulders under. That's helping her. You need to go tell him."
yeah.
He's like, "Oh." I said, "Don't worry, I'm just fucking with you, bro. I'm just fucking with Henry. I wanted him to hear that."
you can't you can't play with old people like that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
too
but I was like,
funny.
man, he needs to stop tucking her fucking shoulders under.
That's great. I love that.
So that's a good bit. That's a fun bit.
That is a funny one, but I also really like they're two goats of the industry, Mason and Henry Day,
Mm,
which probably leads us into like one of the questions our audience did fucking throw into us. And guys, please keep them
a
coming.
massive
Yeah,
audience.
100%. But
Massive
please keep them
audience.
coming in because the questions were really good. But one that I really liked was who's influenced you the most as a coach, and then I've also added as an athlete. And I'll let you go first.
Or I'll do coach first, and you get to do athlete first.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
Man, I was thinking about that last night while I was 2 scoops deep on pre-trainer and 2 Red Bulls and not sleeping and having my brain just fucking spin after pulling
Yeah. Well,
deadlifts.
firstly, your deadlifts.
Um,
We should go back and talk about that later.
Good
I
deadlifts.
saw it.
And the other thought, like I think everyone who either coaches you or you get the opportunity to train
Mm,
with, influences you. And then the thing I kind of thought on top of that is there's good influence and then bad
mm,
influence. So like maybe your experience with someone, when you reflect, you're like, I didn't actually like that. I'm going to make sure I don't make that mistake when I coach, which in a funny way is actually a good experience then,
mm,
because as a coach, I've learned a bunch of stuff that I didn't like
yes.
for myself personally as an athlete. And I was like, I might need to make sure I don't instill those or end up like that,
Yep.
which is brings me back to kind of my first coach, would definitely have to be the biggest influence because we spent so much time there.
Yep.
We, myself and Jamie and a bunch of others all went through this system under a fucking house when there was no
Mm,
powerlifting, and it was sick. We learned heaps of cool stuff, just like the team aspect, like we're all ripping in at the same time. We're all trained. No one got to leave until everyone was fucking finished. We're all training the same fucking days. We're essentially training the same program.
yeah. Right.
Um, and but that bred that team sort of concept, which I fucking
And you
love.
reckon that's
We
what's
learned,
carried on through the Fortitude years? Like,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure, yeah. I mean, it's the same people except the coach. Um,
this is true. You raise a good point there.
um, yeah, but like just and then like the thing on top of that team concept was like even there was guys and girls in that gym you didn't like,
Mm,
but like once you walked out of the door, like you might not have liked them in there, but when you walked out the door, we're all wearing the same team shirt, so like we were backing the shit out of each other
that's so good.
outside of there, which was super cool. We could, our strong personalities in that room didn't all get along,
Yeah.
but we all fucking backed each other outside of it.
There's always a
And
place to
then the
park your
big,
ego.
yeah, and the big thing is like when Paddy Morrison was talking about when he first started, like he was just banging sets and reps with no clue what he was doing.
Mm,
Like we kind of had a coach, but we were still doing our own thing, and we all just thought more reps, more sets, and because we're all ego-driven little 25-year-old testosterone-filled lunatics, it'd always be just trying to be one more set, one more rep,
yep.
one more fucking kilo than the guy girl next to you. I remember like we used to have like squat battles
That's sick.
where it'd be like body weight, 2 squat racks running at once, and just 2 people just going until one fell on the ground.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was sick. I remember there was a guy and a girl and that really strong chick. Well, strong. Yeah, she was kind of strong, but and the fella was only just kind of starting out. So like their strength levels was very similar.
Yeah.
So like one they fucking hated each
Yeah.
other. It was the best, and like because we probably weren't the healthiest in people in circles, we kind of fueled that as
Yeah.
well. We
Yeah.
we fueled the hate for them, and they squat battled one day, and like it got to the point where like they were just bending backs,
Fuck.
and like and I'm sure from memory, like the coach at the time, even he was like, "Okay, that's it. You guys are stopped. Like you're done. You're both gonna die trying to beat each other."
That's unreal.
Yeah, so that sort of stuff was sick. And then I was even thinking last night, like from a training perspective, we didn't have any fucking equipment, or if we did, we didn't use it.
Yeah. Right.
We had we had 2 squat racks. Um, there was 2 benches. A range of dumbbells that were huge. Well, huge to us anyway. Probably I think they went to 35s. But they looked
Yeah.
big, so that was cool. Maybe 40s. Shitty little cable crossover machine we never used because of that fucking cook from doing 400 sets of squats or deadlifts. And some flat benches, and that was it.
Fuck. That's the golden
Very
era,
basic.
bruh.
Yeah, and then we just fucking just bangs. You do 10, 15 sets of squats. You didn't really feel like doing much else.
Blood.
Deadlift day was simple. It would be stiff legs on a 4-inch deficit, deadlifts on a 4-inch deficit, some chins, some rows, and some sit ups on a 45.
That's such a. You know what though? That is still such a good session, even to this day. Like I think,
Mate, I still program.
yeah, I
I
I
call
still think we have fucking just overcomplicate the shit out of this
it.
sport.
I call it the ultimate deadlift program. I built the biggest conventional deadlift I've ever had. Well, I've had bigger ones now, but
Yeah,
you know,
for the time.
when I was a fucking kid, yeah, I can still call it. That's the ultimate deadlift program for everyone. I don't do 4 inch deficits. I kind of think they're a bit too much, but um, yeah, I give them. We do 2 inch deficit stiff legs followed by 2 inch deficit deadlifts, and we do, depending on who the human is, 3 to 5 sets of each, and we do it until you physically can't fucking do any more of those, and then I'll let you have a deload week because that was one of the lessons. We didn't know what a deload was. We just trained until we got sick. Um, Quite literally, you'd know you were cooked when you'd go home that night, and you'd break out in a fever.
Holy fuck, bro.
You break out in a fever. I was like, oh yeah, it's that time of the training run. I hope I can pull next week because I'm full of a room of bullies, and if I don't pick it up, they're going to bully me.
Fucking
And you'd
hell.
always be you'd be cooked. I'd always remember. It'd always land me around the 5 5s. I'd pull epic 5 5s, and then I'd be feverish,
Yep.
physical fevers.
Because it's not like a 5-5 at like 65, 70%. It's a 5-5 at like 80, 85%, bro.
Oh yeah, we were fucking stupid, and we had everything. And the other cool thing is everything was written down and recorded in training diaries,
Mm,
and everyone knew what everyone had kind of fucking done before. And yeah, I think that'd have to be the biggest influence
that's unreal.
for
I
sure.
re-
And we spent so much time
yeah.
there, and there was lots of negatives that come from that place. And like I said, we learned we as coaches kind of learned those things that we didn't like,
Mm,
and made sure we didn't instill those. But then at the same time, there was lots of good shit. Like fuck hook grip, man. That's the simplest one. All the fortitude barbell does hook grip because we train at that
yeah.
place. Because I didn't know any better. I just knew there was hook grip. I didn't know what the other one was until I went to a comp. I was like, why are these people holding with their underhand? That's weird. That's strange. Why would you do that? The whole fucking room was doing it. I'm sure I said to the coach, I said, what are they? How are they holding on to the bar? That's strange. He goes, oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
They're all fuckheads. I was like, yeah, they're all fuckheads. Fuck them.
And then you're like, the hook grip was
I was like,
right.
the hook grip was right, but they weren't
Yeah.
fuckheads. They were all nice people. They just chose to hold the bar differently.
That's pretty funny. That's a fucking like. I like how you also said that any negative experience is still positive to take away out of it, and I couldn't agree more. Like we both know
Mm.
who my first coach was, and I reckon I learned more from him about how not to be a coach that made me a
Yeah,
successful coach.
that's what makes you a successful
Yeah,
coach, right?
it's like cool. That's it. But
Mm.
again, it also like I also don't want to get caught in that trap because that sets a very low standard for what's good coaching, doesn't it? um,
Yeah, 100%.
but oh fuck. Okay, so
But you did it. You enjoyed it for a while.
yeah, I did, and there was lots
Like,
of positives. As you said, like I learned
mm,
how to train, pretty hard. I remember some sessions there where
mm,
I was just fuck, and you just bang it out, and the
mm,
environment that he did create in the very beginning, back in
mm,
old Albion days was unreal. Training with like
mm,
Nick Cow and Ryan Mayfield, some of the sessions we got
mm.
after, fuck me, they were horrendous. And then I just remember there was a big tub of protein at the end. Like, you remember where those stairs were up into the office?
Oh, yep,
We just had
yep.
like on the top step there's this big tub of protein, and I remember it was Cyborg's way big, bruh. I
Whoa.
reckon we just one of us, either myself, Cowan, or Mayfield, would just buy a tub, leave it at the top step, and we just use it. And then whoever's like shout was next, they just get it, and it was just always there, bruh.
Nice.
It was some of those sessions in a sweaty fucking, again, average equipment, squat racks,
Mm.
no monos, no squat
Nah,
bars. I don't even think we had a proper
nah. Fuck.
deadlift bar, bro.
No, mate, that's a good one. We had a deadlift bar that had a bend in it,
Yeah,
so you had to make sure that we all knew where the bend was. It wasn't taped. There was just like a little bit of rust that sat at the top. We had to make sure it was rolled to the top.
yep,
Otherwise, when you pulled it, the motherfucker would spin in your hand.
yep.
And just like I said, rumor bullies, you couldn't put it down. You just had to suffer it fucking spinning in your hands and tearing your thumbs apart.
I think I remember you bringing a deadlift bar of yours once or twice over to that place in Albion.
Oh no, I brought some Texas bars to
Right.
campus.
Yes.
When you guys were over that
Yeah.
way.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure because I remember. Yeah. Anyway, so I learned a lot from that. And I guess going back to the athlete, I learned a lot as an athlete off those fellas, like just the intensity of
Mm,
training.
mm,
But I think the biggest influence as an athlete would have to be. I've thought about this a lot. I reckon one of my biggest influences is obviously Gwaine, like obviously from a coaching perspective,
Mm.
an athlete. But I reckon my other biggest influence is yourself. I reckon my
Ah.
fucking training, some of the best training sessions I've ever had is that block of training we did where we benched on Mondays at Valhalla.
Monday bench day.
Fuck, and
Yeah.
then that remember that deadlift run you had me doing off
Mm.
back into the stiff bar with the chains.
Mm.
They, I reckon,
Love that shit.
and I think a lot of people would. Obviously, you've influenced a lot of people within your own community, but I reckon a lot of people would look at through social and stuff and just be like, that guy knows how to train with intensity. And I think that is the
Mm.
biggest influence of my life. Like, I sometimes think, am I training that hard? And I'm like, nah, Johnny's training harder. And I think this is one of those things like, you will never be the hardest working person in the room if you're in the same room as Johnny. And I'm like, that's a good standard to hit, and that's a good standard to like fucking aim for because you will get fucking strong.
Yeah, man. I love intensity and effort,
Yeah.
like absolutely. And I think if you can fill a session up with that, and then if you're lucky, you've got some quality training thrown in there, like some smart thought out
Mm,
protocols and science behind your sessions. Like that's a fucking, it's a recipe for success.
100%. And I was literally about to say the exact same thing. You could have a average thought out training program, but if you're training with
Mm,
some effort and some intensity, you'll get results.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've always found for me the intensity and effort has always just been brought by surrounding
Mm.
myself with people
Environment plays a
that are,
huge part.
that are like-minded and want to
Mm.
do that same thing. Training with. I even think, yeah, because I got to have my next group kind of experience because that's where I've really thrived and enjoyed. Um, was at was at campus
Mm.
with your ex-coach. I remember he put together like this little small group. That was maybe the start of the group sessions for him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Um, it was mad fun. I fucking frothed it. I'm sure I was training
Mitch
with,
McKinnon, Tyler Small.
yeah, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler was one. I think Chantel was kicking around
Yeah,
as well in that little day
yeah.
cruise session. Mitch was definitely there. He was mad fun.
He's just he's a
Um,
ball of fun. He's
yeah,
hilarious.
he was fucking sick. And then Mickey Adams, I think,
Yeah,
used to
he was there.
jump in
Yeah,
sometimes, and it kind of brought the concept of fun into training for me, which
100%.
is something I when you asked me about what's non-negotiable, fun will be it.
Mm.
So it had that nice balance of intensity, competitiveness where we're trying to outdo each other, and fuck for me, I always wanted to be the hardest worker in the
Mm.
room. So like, I knew I wasn't the strongest or the most gifted person, but I knew if I fucking worked hard, I could probably squeeze some more kilos out. Whether that meant I could catch or beat someone else, but I could definitely better myself
Fucking oath.
with that effort. So I'd breed. I wanted to be the last person in the
Yeah,
room, quite happily.
it's not. Yeah, and I think back to those group sessions you spoke of, and the word that stood out for me was competitiveness. And you know what,
Mm.
Mitch McKinnon, that guy is just a ball of competition within himself, and then
Yeah,
just with others. He was like a bulldog,
yeah, bro.
fucking a scrapyard dog, fighting for everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He even fucking got pretty
He
strong
was so
from
strong.
memory.
I remember he pulled 310 at
Yeah,
like 95.
yeah. He's just like a little nugget, wasn't he?
Fucking just
And he's probably a good example of someone who, that hard work got that for
mm,
him. Like he's probably not meant to be
no.
a fucking strong freakzilla, but
And he was
with some
old.
hard work and effort. Yeah, he was older, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was like,
He would have been late 30s maybe then,
oh, even
maybe even
yeah,
40,
even
right?
early 40s, I reckon.
Yeah.
And he was yeah, he was great. I got a lot of time for old Mitchy. But
Mm.
as an athlete, who do you think's influenced you the most, or is there anyone you look
No,
to?
you have to do that one
I
first.
just did that one.
We decided. Oh, you done that one? That's
Yeah, that
you.
was yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's who you.
Uh, who me? Who has influenced me most as a lifter? I think it goes through
Yeah,
cycles. Back in the early days, I didn't have social media or any of that kind of shit. Well, it
or
didn't
you probably didn't
exist.
even have an email.
It did. I didn't. I don't think I did. I don't think I had an email.
That's unreal. That's
I
unreal.
was like, "The fuck you want an email for? Just write me a letter." Um, yeah, literally, it was one of the guys we used to train with. I reckon, like, because he was always just fucking stronger than me,
Bastard.
and because of that bully environment, all I wanted to do was fucking beat him one day. just fucking beat that motherfucker. And I think that's reigned with me
Mm,
still. I think he pulled 300 and I've done 300 now. So now I still want to outpull that motherfucker.
you will.
So that's an influence. Well, that's probably like a negative influence. That wasn't a healthy relationship. And then just every training run that I've had the privilege to kind of go through um, with the people that I get to surround myself, I always fondly look back on a training run when Polly sent me a message and said, "Hey, bro, do
Mm,
you want to train with me on Saturday?
mm.
I'm getting ready for Pro Raw. I need a squat partner." I was like, "That's fucking. That was sick.
Yeah,
That was fucking cool."
yep.
And like, yeah, I got to play with the elite, with the elite, and that was fucking cool. Learned heaps of cool shit off that. And then probably the thing that influences me the most, and the stuff that I really draw from at the moment is like my own change in training and priorities, and like I don't train as much as I used to, nor have time nor desire for it. And then you start thinking, fuck, am I still going to get good results out of
Mm,
it? But then I look at my own personal client base and it's like, these guys all have jobs. They all got fucking families or different reasons to not come to the gym.
they're getting after it.
They just get it fucking done, and they don't train as much as everybody else.
Mm.
They work three quality sessions, 4 quality sessions, sometimes 2 quality sessions. They train at 5 in the morning, 8 o'clock at night. Like they just put it at times that work and exist. Nowadays, I just draw um, inspiration from those guys and girls.
Yeah, man. Like, and it's so good. Like, we have all have those clients that just rip in. And, I
Mm.
mean, a good example for both of us would be Carl.
Yeah, Carl, man,
He, he
he's
the guy,
he's a weapon,
and
bro.
he's got. I don't know how he has energy, that much energy at like
Mm.
5 a.m. I'm like, bruh. But again,
Yeah, man,
you know what he credits to, and goes back to what you said before, is he's a product of his environment. He trains at
mm,
Valhalla in a group session, and then he trains at Fortitude
mm,
majority of the week.
mm,
You know, amongst that 5:30 a.m. crew, like people like PJ,
mm.
he loves it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the 5 a.m. There's a whole bunch of people in our gym that, whether it's powerlifting or just lifestyle reasons to play with the
Mm.
barbell, they're in there between quarter to five and 5:30, and they all rock up, and the gym is fucking packed. They train for an hour. They train with intensity. They train hard. They have a hell of a lot of fun. Those working towards comps are on programs geared towards being competitive, and they get the fuck out of there by 6:30, so they can go home, be father, mother, high level employee at their
Mm.
job, whatever it is. And the reason they're in it fucking early is because that's the only time they can do it.
And they just get it done. I love it.
They get it done.
It's so good.
Absolutely.
Absolute
Mm.
savages.
Yeah, they are, dude. Yeah. It's like, some people say like, man, I could never train at 5:30. So, well, you don't want the thing bad enough that creates the reason for you to be there at 5:30.
100%.
That's all it is. Like, I bet Carl would rather have a sleep in and train at 10 o'clock and not be at
Mm.
work.
Or not have
I
time with his
guarantee
kids
that.
at night.
Yeah, he would much rather. Yeah, he'd probably rather not be there at 5:30. Just do it during the day when these kids are at school,
Yep.
right? But he can't. He's got a job, so he can do all the cool things with his family, and so that means he's got to get up fucking early and get to the gym to train.
Fucking oath. Carl, you're a
Yeah,
legend.
Carl's the best.
Anyways,
I, 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 I did think of one more person that influenced me in a positive manner,
yeah.
and that was Chad Wesley Smith. He kind of
Oh,
brought
yep.
he brought to light he brought me into the light, I should say, out of the darkness of just garage training without any thought and idea behind the session. Just did what you did last training run. Just keep doing it. Don't worry about deloading. Just put more weight on a bar, get stronger.
Yep.
And I was back in the day. I don't know if he still does it. He had a product on his web page. You could pay via a PayPal or something for a phone call with him. It was
That's
fucking
unreal.
sick. And then I'd blown a couple of discs in my back, and through the
I
internet
remember that.
had worked out he had done the same injury. I was like, fuck, you know what? I need to talk to him.
Mm.
And then we had a phone call, and to be honest, it was a great phone call, and it was funny because I kind of got what I needed, but he was driving somewhere for hours, and it was kind of like, yeah, bro, we just keep talking if you want. I got a long drive.
That's unreal.
I'm like, I've kind of run out of questions, Chad, but yeah, thank you.
That's
But he was the
fucking
best,
great.
man. It wasn't a lot of money. It was only like $100 or something in Australian, maybe a bit more. And he had nothing but time for me. And then that
Yep.
brought to light reading books that he's written, and then
Hmm.
following people that either he's coached or other coaches he's had on podcasts or he's surrounded himself with, and then just seeing that modern day powerlifter and having a bit more, there's more to it than just squatting with a
I
hyperextended lower back and your knees buckling and touching each other. But as long as you stand up, it's okay.
I feel like we're dropping knowledge bombs at these early morning potties. Where like last week, we dropped to everyone that there's more to life than powerlifting, and this week we're dropping that there's more to squats than just hyper extended lower backs.
Yeah, there you go. Write that down. That's a hot coaching tip.
Fuck. All right.
That's
Finish
it.
off. Who's my mine's influence as a coach is pretty simple. Like I've thought about this a lot, and as you said, it's changed over time. But people like your Eric Cressy, Chad Wesley Smith, like I've always been very lucky to. I came through a later age of you, so I had a bit more access to social media and following those types of guys.
Mm.
But in the most recent years, as a coach, and like I guess if I'm talking specifically from a knowledge base, it would definitely be Paul Pegler,
Mm. Genius.
Jordan Shallow,
Mm.
and Big G,
Yeah,
Gwain.
genius.
So
All very smart humans.
all very smart, and they've all achieved something in the industry. So there's buy-in.
Hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I'm
And all
mate.
very different people.
y-
Yeah, 100%. But all fucking elite humans.
mm, Good potty, bruh.
Yeah, it's a good party. Sun's coming up.
Yep, sun's coming up.
Family will be waking up soon. Time for some eggs on toast. It's daddy daughter day today. It's going to be
Oh,
fucking good.
oh, love that.
Going to look at a mystery venue for the deadlift comp. Ooh, get ready.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that time again.
Wait, I'm pretty sure I can add applause in. Anyways, I'll work that out later.
Yeah, get ready,
All right,
family. December 9. All of you want to come lift to that one.
bro. Rumor has it, Aiden, the goat dietitian,
He's up.
he saw your post and was like, "That rubber arm got twisted. I heard he's in." I'm just
Sick. Didn't he battle? Was it him and Tabitha trying to beat each other last year or something?
yeah. Tab tries to beat everyone. She
This is
just has a
very
thing
true.
against dietitians, I think. But it actually would be really close this year. If she's pulling beltless, that's got to be taken into an account.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
she's pulling conventional now. He's still a sumo god. So
Yep. Yep. Good.
I think we
Game
could
on.
see a new battle here.